Welcome to the short-term show from Blue Ridge, Georgia. We will cover everything you need to know, including buying, holding, managing from a distance, raising rents, renovating, and how to rent it when you are not using your very own vacation home in the North Georgia mountains. For more information on current purchase prices and income data, please visit theshorttermshop.com. Welcome to the Short Term Show special episodes from Blue Ridge. Short Term Show is on from the North Georgia mountains. Grateful to have you here. So excited for you to be tuning in. And I know you got a lot of places to spend your educational and informational and entertainment time. And we're grateful that you listen to this podcast today. Episode number 5 from Blue Ridge. We're going to build a team, put it together to make a deal happen. So who better to talk about that than one of my favorite real estate agents of all time, Mr. Yak. And let's start with the agent. Simply put, man, what is a good real estate agent? What are they going to do for me? And how do I find one?
Yeah, it's a great question. I tell people, look for somebody you have commonalities with and also knows what they're doing, right? I hear it so often, hey, a good real estate agent makes it look easy and will kind of trick you into thinking they're not doing much. It's kind of like managing a property, Luke. A good landlord makes it look easy, right? And it makes you wonder to yourself, man, I could do this. But the reality is a good landlord is just a good landlord. Same thing with the real estate agent. If they make it look easy and feel easy, that's probably who you need to work with, but also, I tell people, hey, I understand. I picked my real estate agent by, I just kind of looked around. I was like, which one of these jabronis would I like to drink a beer with? And that's how I kind of went by it. And hey, I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb, but to each his own. But, definitely find somebody that's in tune with the market. And I know that can be harder to figure out, but talk to them, interview them, and go with who you like. And that really is the easiest way to do it. Trust your gut.
How does one become a good real estate agent? I mean, what makes a good agent versus, you kind of already went over that, but, and I got some ideas there, but, all right, fine. I'll throw it at you. Number one is, communication. Like how do I communicate with them? Because everybody communicates differently.
Right.
But, I like somebody who writes back quickly and is, ready to rock. Any other thoughts there?
No, communication's number one, right? You don't want to have to send somebody send your agent a text and you don't hear from them for a day. That's not, it doesn't feel like they're on the same page as you are, right? Like a lot of times, it depends where that client is. You as the buyer or seller, hey, do I need to buy or sell tomorrow, or do I need to buy or sell 6 months from now? And obviously, the client needs to communicate that to the agent, where everybody knows what your needs are. Also think it's important for the agent to kind of ask that question, find out who you are and what exactly do you need. You would ask, how do you find a good real estate agent? Man, Luke, that's such a philosophical question. I tell people it's like finding a good dentist. When you picked your dentist, how do you know they were good?
Well, because I went to 3 or 4 that were not good first, and then
but most people, it's their Aunt Susan tells them, hey, I use the dentist down the road. We've been going there for 10 years. We love them. That's it. Now you assume he's a great dentist. Most people don't know. How do you know? How are you picking your doctor? Some people are looking for lawsuits, but a lot of times it's just who they got. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I have a good answer for finding a good agent, but I would say we're pretty easy to find when it comes to specialists, and we are specialists. You see their online presence. That really is what you're going to have to go with.
Yeah, let's make no mistake. We want you to pick us. We do sell houses. Sure. Yak sells houses. So if you're listening to this podcast, it's a no-brainer. You need to be calling the shop. Why in the world would you be listening to this podcast if you're going to use some other real estate agent? So we've already made that part easy for you. So it was a bit of a trick question here, at least in this market on this topic. Just call the shop, or don't call us. We don't like to answer the phone. We're too young to be answering the phone, but we do have plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Theshorttermshop.com. Hell, you can email me if you want to, Luke@theshorttermshop.com. And I value a good real estate agent very, very, very much. Of course, I'm married to one of the biggest real estate agents in history, and I see what it takes to get to that point, and it's not easy. You got to kick ass and work hard, and hard work is something that we are not afraid of around here. Traditional real estate investing, podcasts, content, etc. Finding multiple agents. That's one thing I don't like, so here, let me point that out. If you're new, you're listening to podcasts and you say, and they say you need to contact 100 different real estate agents, or you just assume that you need to do that. That's not a good idea. Do not do that. That's just as a buyer. I'm not an agent, by the way. I'm a buyer. But if you're dealing with different agents, first of all, it's too much work, man. It's like going to two different dentists, exactly like Yak said. So be careful with that. I think it's a waste of time. We do see some folks occasionally that are doing that. I don't know. Do you ever see that, Yak?
Every now and then. I mean, I tell my client, once you're committed to me, I'm committed to you. That's how this needs to work. Agents, look, I don't know if some buyers think there's the world's smartest people or whatever it is, but we know, right? I mean, our job, it's a people person job. And we get the sense, hey, this other person's talking to somebody else, they're calling buyers directly, and it's hard for us to take you seriously. So I tell everybody, let's be honest with one another. And if our loyalty is going to be with you as long as your loyalty is with us. And I think that's just how this whole business operates.
Yeah. And, one thing I wanted to say there is if you're shopping around on Facebook, again, back to the content and the influencer stuff, if you're in Facebook groups or asking for recommendations from people you don't know, be careful why they're recommending. Either they're maybe trying to get a cut, maybe they're getting some sort of referral fee, maybe they are the actual person that's looking for your business, which is fine. But right. I'm here to tell you, a really good real estate agent doesn't really have time to sit around playing around on 100 different Facebook groups trying to find clients. But that being said, if somebody's saying, hey, I used this agent, call them, they were awesome, I think that's okay in most cases. But, ask them, how many deals did you do with that agent? Or are you just another agent trying to make a cut off somebody in that market over there? That's all, all stuff to be aware of. But that being said, again, just call the shop. If you're going to go into Blue Ridge, if you're doing this in North Georgia, you got you don't have to worry about any of this crap. You just call us.
Hey, Luke,
we'll get it done.
I'd hesitate to say, and this is certainly not trying to come across as braggadocious, Avery could bring on board any real estate agents she wanted to in any market. Period. The end. That's just the reality. And she's had the ability to kind of handpicked the best of the best agents in every market. And again, not trying to sound braggadocious, but it's unbelievable the team she's managed to assemble. I'm blessed to be a part of it. Being able to learn and understand from one another. People all these people I work with are just absolute rock stars, and to be able to bounce ideas and find out market trends and what's going on here in this market versus that market, and to kind of be able to plan and see these trends in ahead, we're able to kind of send that knowledge to our customer base, which is awesome, because I promise you, if you just pick up the phone and dial, some Rudy Poo down the road who does 4 deals a year, man, you're just not going to get the breadth of knowledge that you're going to get from a team like the Short Term Shop. And again, I'm not trying to sound cheesy or over the top, but trust me when I say I've worked for tiny brokerages that have 1 or 2 people, and I've worked for big brands. But when it comes to, specialized in what we're trying to accomplish, when I got on board here, it blew my mind. As somebody who had seen tons of transactions, it still blew my mind to see behind the scenes the wheel that Avery's created and the machine she's created. And being able to have all that knowledge base and share that with our clients, I think is just such a huge advantage for a buyer or seller, looking to get into one of these vacation markets.
I agree. I've bought every one of my vacation rentals through the short-term shop. And we're talking about Avery, who runs the company, and she also wrote this book. If you want to check that out, Short-Term Rental, Long-Term Wealth. We also have a big Facebook group with the same name. Anyway, starting to sound like an advertisement, but the truth is we just believe in what we're doing here. We really do, and we work hard. We work our asses off, and we're just we're happy to have you listening to this podcast. And we hope to earn your business. If you want to buy a house in North Georgia, just call us. We've already got your agent figured out, and we're ready to rock on that. So let's move into lenders. We've already done quite a bit of talk on financing on other podcasts here in the series, but how do I find a good one? What questions do I ask, et cetera?
Great question. So there's kind of two ways to go about it. I tell my people, and I give I always kind of give, if I'm working with somebody and they don't know who they're going to use for a lender, I like to give them a couple different options, and I tell them why. So you have the local lender, and I have a couple of those in my back pocket, that have just done a lot of these transactions. They understand Georgia contracts. They understand the timelines. They understand the expectations. They understand basically how the contract should roll in the state of Georgia. People don't, that is important. Okay. Because the way a contract rolls in Georgia is different than the way it rolls in Florida or Tennessee or Alabama or Nevada or New York, wherever you may be from. So having a lender who understands that the way the deadlines are set up is important. Now, there's also another kind of lender that I put out there that I would say is kind of the specialist investor type lender, right? We got the mortgage shop. They're great at it. They have a real good knowledge of all the states that they cover, but they also kind of specialize in doing a lot of these, second home loans, investment loans, et cetera, DSCR loans. And I can tell you this, that the lender that you probably use for your primary is not going to be the right guy for you to buy a vacation home somewhere out of his market. It's just not going to be the way. Going through all the paperwork, the finances of an investor versus, a couple that's, just got a couple W-2s is significantly different. In originating a loan on a second home loan for an investment type properties is significantly different than getting a primary. So make sure when you're talking to your lender, they know that, hey, I'm buying an investment property, and let them tell you the loan products that they have. They should have some sort of commercial option. They should have, just a standard Fannie Freddie, a conventional loan, an investment loan. They're all going to have different, the way they're kind of set up, but make sure they understand what you're trying to accomplish. Don't try to hide anything. Because look, mortgage fraud is a deal. You can't buy rental property with a primary home loan. Okay. People are getting busted with that. So work with somebody you trust. But again, I am going to be letting people know, hey, here's a couple local people who do this really well. Here's a couple specialists, kind of let you go down the road. I do feel like there is some value in a client shopping that a little bit. Again, like a real estate agent, you do need to make up your mind kind of on the front end of that. But, I do think it's a smart move. Talk to A, B, and C, because they're all going to have kind of different pricing structures. Maybe you're cash heavy and you want to go with somebody who maybe they have a big down payment, but a lower rate, big origination fees, let's just call it closing costs, low rate. Maybe you want a higher rate, but you're not cash heavy and you want to go with somebody who has a lower closing cost. And maybe you want something in the middle. So just know all those things should be a factor with what you're looking at as a buyer.
Yes. And I will say, if you're new to this, to rental real estate in general, maybe you own your own house, but you've never really done a rental or anything like that before, or a second home, spend the most of your time on lending. Spend the bulk of your time researching different types of loans and Facebook, maybe podcasts and YouTube videos on the subject. And when I first started, we didn't really have any of that kind of stuff. There was a Bigger Pockets podcast, and that was it, so there were no YouTube videos or anything. So what I did was called and annoyed the living crap out of every single loan officer I could get to answer the phone. And I asked about 2 trillion questions, because that's what I do. I ask questions. That's how I learn.
I tell people, lender first, Zillow last. That's the way you got to do it. You got to have your finances set up to where you can go make that purchase. You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to start spitting out offers and our financing isn't in place? Do the boring stuff first. Get all those financial documents, get all your stuff in one sock, get those ready to turn over to your lender, and get the financial part of it, the boring part, knocked out, because that's also going to kind of put up guide rails on what, maybe you were going to look at a $550,000 home. Well, you turn in all the documents. Okay, now you can look at a $600,000 home, or maybe vice versa. And we don't want to get under contract on something that you're not going to be able to afford, because then, look, you may lose some earnest money if you have to cancel, terminate a I tell everybody, lending first, Zillow last. It'll make this transaction a lot easier. And not to mention, when it gets time for you to make an offer, you will be able to make stronger and a more intelligent offers as well.
Yep. Can't spend too much time researching loans and lending, etc. Especially when I first started, I didn't even have any money. So I needed to do everything I could to make sure these banks were interested in doing business with me, because I needed their money, It's been a wild ride. In that ride, I went to home inspector school. So I've got some thoughts on this particular part of your team. To me, any home inspector that's being is recommended is probably just fine, especially if you're brand new. And I will say that if you're only going to buy like one house a year or one house every couple of years, I don't think it would matter all that much to me, as long as this was a licensed professional that had some credibility. I don't know that you're looking to go out there and find like the world's, like the Billy Joel of home inspectors or anything like that. But again, communication is probably my biggest thing on home inspectors. How does he communicate? Can I get him on the phone and ask him some questions? A lot of times home inspectors don't really want to answer questions because they're not qualified to give this answer or that answer. So just like dating, get as much of it out of the way up front in the first date, and then decide if you want to do the rest of this transaction with him. What do you have for us on home inspectors?
I agree with you. I would add, it's real easy to open up the phone book. If you're from out of state and you type in home inspectors, Blue Ridge, a lot of them are going to pop up some chains out of Atlanta. And, a lot of times you're going to end up, somebody's going to drive an hour and a half north who's never inspected a cabin before. They've inspected plenty of townhouses in Atlanta and, single family residential properties, but maybe never a cabin, and doesn't know what to look for, because there's some nuance in buying a wooden cabin versus buying a townhome. So I would say, again, talk to your agent. Make sure they have somebody who, I don't think there's necessarily a cabin specialist, but somebody who has significant experience around cabin builds. I personally, that's all I work with. My recommendations will be people who work specifically on cabins, and better yet, have built cabins before, used to be contractors, builders themselves, so they know what to look for. Also tell people, Luke, this is a business. I want an inspector that it knows how to look for the big things that are wrong with the cabin. Because a lot of times, if you just get generic home inspector, you're going to get your report back and it's going to be like, the toilet handle jiggled, and the pull on the whatever, on the in the kitchen door was loose, and the shower head is this leaking. And that's not the type of stuff we want to beat ourselves up with. I want a home inspector that knows, hey, where, how water flows around these metal roofs, how this flashing works, where there may be some rotted wood, and know all those nuances around a cabin that, let's just say, a normal home inspector may not be able to identify.
Yeah. And also I want to emphasize the fact that you, as the client, the listener right now, you're hiring the home inspector, because so I don't want anybody to think that, my agent gave me a home inspector, my lender gave me this home inspector's phone number, so they must be, they're the one I'm supposed to use. It's not like that. You're welcome to hire whoever you want. You can call 15 of them if you want to. So just to clarify, the home inspector works for you. You legally own that home inspection report, and you don't have to show it to anybody if you don't want to.
You don't even have to show it to your agent.
Nope. And a lot of times you don't even really have a reason to, unless you're looking for an opinion, but then it starts to get into some gray areas. But
I'll also add on that side, I like a home inspector that is also going to kind of debrief afterwards. So he's going to turn that report over to you and say, hey, call me if you have any questions. Because inevitably, Luke, look, you've bought plenty of cabins. a lot of times that inspection report comes back and it's thicker than War and Peace. Especially if you bought a cabin that's 30 years old, something built in the early 90s. It can be a little intimidating, to say the least. But there may only be 4 items on there that are big ticket. You know what I mean? And having that inspector to say, "Hey, Mr. Smith, looking down this list, I'll be honest with you, nothing here really bothers me. Some of these are code violations that just, they are what they are, because codes get updated. It's not a homeowner's responsibility to update a property as codes change. But he may say, hey, look, these top 4 things right here, I really think I would suggest you get these addressed. The other 63, look, there are things you can do or not, or it may only it may only take you, 3 hours swinging a hammer or turning a screwdriver."
Absolutely. Let's talk about cleaners and handy people. That has gotten a lot. It's just changed a lot over the years. Since when I first started in this business, it was almost impossible to find a cleaner, and now there's a lot of them. So prices have gone up a little bit, but there are more cleaners than there used to be. And there's plenty of ways to find them. Of course, the short-term shop's going to give you several recommendations that we've come across, and we've got a big list of vendors that we'd be happy to share with you if you become a client. And but there's also Turno, which is a marketplace for finding cleaners, and it also handles scheduling of cleaners. That one's become pretty popular. Of course, there's Facebook groups, local Facebook groups, and recommendations from your agent, of course. And Yak, any other? Did I miss anything on how to find a cleaner?
No, this is probably after we're done talking about properties, probably the number one conversation I have with clients. And they're all really happy to know that, the way it works with us is you get under contract, and after you get through your contingencies, I'm going to turn you over a PDF. Okay. And on there, I call it the list. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's the Georgia list. And it's pretty intuitive of, there's probably a half dozen cleaners, anybody you may need to be part of your team is going to be turned over to you in a PDF document, to where you don't necessarily have to go to Google and, kind of just spin the wheel of destiny and hope you land on the right person. I'm going to give you a list of people that have either, I've worked with personally or have worked with my clients in the past and have had good success with. So if it's somebody installing a Ring doorbell, to needing to build a fence, to, need a roofer, need a hot tub guy, I'm going to turn over a list that's going to get you started. Now, I tell everybody, all these people are, they're busy professionals. I can't say that they're just, waiting on your phone call. They may be busy. The hot tub may be a while, but, it's going to be a lot better than just going on to Google. It's a really good shot in the arm of, of just vendors that you're going to need to start your own business and start creating your own team.
Yeah, the cleaner thing especially, that's an art form. And I'm going to teach you all about that in Management Monday. We cover that for quite a bit of detail in Management Monday. If you use the shop by your house, which of course we would love for you to do that, come to Management Monday with me. It happens, believe it or not, every Monday, and we spend a great deal of time talking about cleaner success. Mm-hmm. Of course, we do talk about that on my podcast as well, Short-Term Rental Management Podcast. And it's exactly what we do all day, every day. It's our wheelhouse. So,
yeah, I tell everybody, if you're going to get in this business, you got to develop 2 skills right up front. Number 1 is how to run your numbers and trust them. You got to be able to do that. Got to be able to run numbers, figure out, hey, is this what I need to buy? And you need to be able to trust them. Number 2, you need to learn how to hire and fire cleaning ladies. It's gross, but you got to do it. It's not a job that a lot of people think about. And it is art. I guarantee you're better at it today than you were 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Oh, way better. And here's the thing. It's hiring and firing in general. It could be any gig. It could be any gig. Let's say you go buy a gas station. You're going to need to hire cashiers. And guess what? You're going to need to fire them too.
Yep.
It's just the nature of the beast. Hiring and firing is an art form. We talk a lot about that in our materials here at the shop. Of course, at Avery's Books and Management Monday, we're going to cover that in detail. But it really is. It's an art form. In other words, if you're nervous about finding the right housekeeper, it's because you don't have much experience with hiring and firing, and you're going to get better at it. And that's just That just goes with running a business. That just goes with trying to do better in life. If you want to grow, if you want to be a different person than what you are right now, if you want to be a better person, if you want to maybe take control of your financial future, you're going to need to learn how to do that kind of stuff. And being scared of hiring the cleaner is a good sign. You've got to get uncomfortable to be successful. And believe me, that's a really good starting point, because at the end of the day, hiring a cleaner is not really all that intimidating. And wait till you need to later on down the line hire a CFO of your giant company because you made all these right decisions along the way, or whatever it may be. So yeah, it's just all about hiring and firing when it comes to cleaners. And one more thing there I'll say is that don't get them out of their element. Don't get them out of their box. Cleaners tend to be just, good old, salt of the earth type people. And if you're starting to ask a bunch of crazy questions and make them do a bunch of stuff that they've never heard of before, they're going to get a little uncomfortable. That's a pretty good way.
Don't ask them to clean your gutters. I had somebody do that. Oh my goodness.
That's a pretty good way to get fired. For your cleaner to fire you is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Don't make them do stuff that is not their job. I was just talking about that this morning. This guy said he's got some mold on the ceiling of his cabin. And of course, there's legal territory there in case we don't know what kind of mold it was or anything. But I said, the first thing I would do is start by asking your cleaner to get up there and see if it wipes off. Find out what kind of mold it is, of course, and all that. But I said, if there's a extension ladder involved, it is no longer her job, Mm-hmm. So it's just little stuff like that. You can't, if you go asking them to do, or even like accepting packages, if you ask your cleaner to accept an entire brand new kitchen worth of Amazon packages and 6 big screen TVs, they're not going to like you, so just all the stuff you're going to have to learn. And
especially if their effort isn't commensurated in some sort of stipend, I tell people all the time, one of the best ways you can get good with your cleaning lady or team or whoever it may be is, on these package deals. Look, we all got to do it, right? Keurig broke. Hey, I'm going to send one to you. Can you put it up or whatever? Say, hey, could your son come up here? I'd gladly pay him $50 if he'd set this thing on my countertop. Money makes the world go round. Grease these people up. Take care of them. If you take care of your cleaner, they'll take care of you.
Absolutely. And if they like you, they're gonna refer you to the like, if you need something done at the house and your cleaner likes you, they're gonna send you the guy that they like. Right. If they don't like you, they're gonna send you the guy that they send them to the people that they don't like.
That's right. Your package.
Rock stars, no rock
That's
stars.
Right. Your package is going to look like on Ace Ventura, where he's kicking that package down the hallway. FDS coming through. That's FDS. What it's going to look like. Yeah.
Look at you. Yeah. Rock stars, no rock stars. So if you're treating your cleaner right, you're going to do well. And also, if things aren't going well with your cleaner, it's your fault. I hate to tell you, and your cleaner doesn't like you because you're not good at this. And you'll get better at it, but it's probably going to take getting kicked in the teeth a couple of times to realize, oh, it's not them, it's me, So now, again, are there bad cleaners out there? Of course, there's bad everything's out there. But if you're brand new, have no idea what you're doing, and you're trying to hire a cleaner that's been doing this for 10 years and already has 18 houses with fantastic owners that she loves and she's happy, that's not a good combination. You're probably... If you're brand new, don't know what the hell you're doing, you're probably looking for a cleaner that's a little bit on the newer side. And that relationship's going to go a lot better than having, the greatest cleaner ever and the brand new host that doesn't know what they're doing. You got to wait until you graduate and level that playing field a little bit, Well, what else? I think we put a pretty good team together here. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, just get with the short-term shop. We've made this as a damn science. We can help you through this whole process, and I'm here to help. If you need me, if you got questions for me, I've been through everything you could ever imagine in the rental real estate business. Luke at theshorttermshop.com. Yak, what did we miss?
Man, Yak at theshorttermshop.com. I tell everybody, here's the cool thing when you work with us. If you're buying a property in Blue Ridge and you're working with Yak, you're also working with Luke. Oh. It's pretty, that's pretty badass. You know what I mean? So, we're going after that. We're buying you that I'm helping you buy the best property. He's helping you set it up, and educate you in how to set it up. It's pretty incredible. And again, the intellectual property that we have, the knowledge base that you'll have access to is second to none. working with us agents, I'll have home inspectors, lenders, all that just ready for you to go, man. You just got to, get committed, sit down, make the decision that you're ready to change your life and kind of grab your financial future by the horns. And man, we're your huckleberry after that. Just give us a call, give us an email.
It will not be easy, but I can guarantee you it will be easier if you use us than if you do not, right? And if you want a vacation rental that you can use on the side and take your kids to and create some memories, man, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Everybody needs 2 or 3 of these things. So, all right. Well, we love you. Thank you so much for hanging. Next episode, we're going to talk about financing. So we'll get way in the weeds on that lending topic. Actually, even going to have a lender come on the show and hang with us. So on behalf of the Short Term Shop, episode 5 from North Georgia, it is Luke and Yock saying, don't overthink it.